As we understood how to connect to the remote database using --connect along with the username and password, and also how to run commands such as list databases, list tables, and eval. Now let us actually get into the most important command of Sqoop, which is nothing but import. Once again, if you want to get all the details with respect to Sqoop import, you can actually click on the official documentation which is provided here, and then you can see all the details with respect to Sqoop import. Sqoop import is the main command, and if you actually look into the arguments which we can pass to Sqoop import, they are divided into multiple groups such as common arguments which include connect, username, password, etc. And then import control arguments such as append, as Avro data file, as sequence file, as text file, so on and so forth. There are many other control arguments which control the behavior of the Sqoop import at runtime. So that being said, we'll actually get into the details with respect to Sqoop import over a period of time in series of topics. First, we'll start with the simple Sqoop import, where we'll be passing minimum required control arguments, and then we'll take it from there. So here I'm connecting to the gateway node of our Cloudera Labs cluster. From command prompt also we can say Sqoop help import, and we can actually get control arguments, common arguments, etc. So when it comes to common arguments, we have connect, username, password, etc. When it comes to control arguments, there are many arguments. However, to perform Sqoop import, we need to pass the table using --table. It is the table name which is part of our remote database, and then one of target directory or warehouse directory to perform the Sqoop import. So it's table and one of target directory or warehouse directory are the minimum control arguments which we need to pass to Sqoop import on top of connect, username, password to perform simple Sqoop import. So let's get into the details here. So we can start with Sqoop import and then --connect and then JDBC MySQL : and then the server on which MySQL is running. The port number, again, the port number is optional if it is default port number which is 3006. If it is any other port number, we have to specify the port number like this. And then the database name. So let's say I want to import from retail_db, and the table which I want to import is nothing but orders. So once you pass connect, you have to specify username so that we can be authenticated to the database. The username is retail user in our case, and then password is ITversity, and then table. So here we need to specify the table name in MySQL, which is nothing but orders or order items or customers, etc. Whatever table we want to get data from, we have to specify that here. So we'll be copying orders here, and then we can specify either warehouse directory or target directory. So when you specify warehouse directory, and if you define the path to which the data should be copied, let's say I want to copy to user training, which is my user space in this cluster, and then let's say I want to copy orders into Sqoop import. In this case, we just have to specify warehouse directory like this, user training, and the base directory to which we should copy the data to. So when we use warehouse directory like this, it will create a subdirectory using the table name from which we are trying to get the data from, and then it will actually copy data into the files in that directory. So there will be a subdirectory called orders in this user training Sqoop import, and that subdirectory will have the data. Typically, when we use warehouse directory, as the name suggests, we should give the base directory to which we want to create data from multiple source tables. Now we can hit enter. It will take a bit of time to actually convert our Sqoop command into MapReduce job to connect to a remote database, get the data from the remote database, and copy the data into the target location, which is nothing but user training Sqoop import and then the subdirectory orders. So let it finish, and then we'll actually get into the directory and see how the data is copied. Now the data is copied. We will understand how it is copied at a later point in time. For now, we'll just see where the data is copied to. So in this case, I'm running Hadoop fs-ls and then paste this warehouse directory. You can see a subdirectory called orders, and if you actually run ls on orders, you will see a subdirectory called not subdirectory, but the files called part-m-, and then it starts from 5 zeros and then it will increment by 1. So as we have performed default Sqoop import, it uses 4 threads, and hence we can see 4 files here. It started with 5 zeros and then 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. If we have more than 4 threads to get the data from remote database into this HDFS location. Similar to what we have done with the warehouse directory, we can actually use target directory also. But when it comes to target directory, we should specify the directory based upon the table name. So let's say in this case, I want to copy data from order items. Order items is the table in MySQL. And let's say I want to use target directory. So I can specify target directory like this. And then we have to actually provide the directory to which data should be copied to. So in this case, I'm specifying order items here. And if we run this, it will actually copy data from the relational database, which is remote to our cluster, into this target location directly. So there won't be any subdirectories under order items. There will be only files here. Again, as it uses 4 threads by default, you will be seeing 4 files with the similar naming convention. Now the data is successfully imported even for order items. We can actually run Hadoop fs-ls user training Sqoop import and then order items, and you should see the files here. By default, these files are text file format. Sqoop supports other file formats also, which we'll be seeing at a later point in time. As long as we use text file format, we can actually preview the data using Hadoop fs-tail to make sure that data is copied as per our expectations. In this case, data is copied using comma as delimiter between the fields. Whether it is orders or order items, it is the same. Because we just specify the table name and the target or warehouse directory, the data will be copied in text file format, and the delimiters that will be used to copy the data between the fields in the table is nothing but comma by default. You can override these delimiters and all those things at runtime. However, we need to understand the appropriate control arguments for doing so. Okay. So that being said, we have successfully invoked simple sqoop command using both warehouse directory as well as target directory. As data is successfully copied, as we understood the syntax of the sqoop import command to perform simple import, now it is time for us to understand how it actually copy the data. And we will see that as part of the next topic.